Alright, this final chapter of Chronicles, First Chronicles, concludes David's story, not with war or conquest, but with worship, generosity, and transition. It captures a king finishing well, giving everything to God and preparing the next generation to continue his work. So the first part of this chapter covers David's personal offering for the temple. David addresses all the leaders again, reminding them that Solomon is young and inexperienced, okay? And that the work of building God's temple is immense. Then David leads the temple. With all my resources, I have provided for the temple of my God. Gold for the gold work, silver for the silver, bronze for the bronze, iron for the iron, and wood for the wood. But beyond the kingdom's treasury, David gives from his own personal wealth, his private store of gold and silver. So leadership inspires by example. David doesn't command generosity, he models it. The second part of the chapter covers the leaders and people give willingly. Moved by David's devotion, the tribal officers, commanders, and officials also bring their offerings joyfully. 5,000 talents of gold, 10,000 talents of silver, huge amounts of bronze and iron, precious stones up for treasury. The people rejoiced at the willing response of their leaders, for they had given freely and wholeheartedly to the Lord. True revival always begins with willing hearts, not forced giving, but joyful participation. The third part of the chapter covers David's prayers of praise, okay? David blesses the Lord before all the assembly in one of the most beautiful prayers in Scripture. Yours, Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the majesty and the splendor, for everything heaven and earth is yours. He acknowledged that all the gifts come from God's hand. They are merely giving back what already belongs to him. Then he prays for his son Solomon. Give my son Solomon the wholehearted devotion to keep your commands and to build the palace for which I have made provision. This is the heart of a father and a king, humble before God, desiring not success, but faithfulness for the next generation, okay? The fourth part of the chapter covers Solomon anointed as a king. The people bow before the Lord and before the king. Then they anoint Solomon as king a second time. The first time was private, this one public, okay? And Zadok as priest. The Lord highly exalted Solomon in the sight of all Israel and bestowed on him royal splendor such as no king over Israel ever had before. God himself confirms the transition. The throne passes peacefully, sealed by worship. The fifth part of the chapter covers David's death and legacy. The book closes with David's final record. David, son of Jesse, was king over all Israel. He ruled 40 years. Then he died at a good old age, having enjoyed long life, wealth, and honor. Solomon succeeded him as king, and the chronicles of David's reign are recorded by Samuel, Nathan, and Gad. David's story ends not in failure, but in fulfillment. A life poured out in service, praise, and preparation for God's future work. So what are the key lessons from this chapter from the First Chronicles chapter 29? The first one is generosity reveals the heart. David and the people gave freely. True devotion is shown through willing sacrifice. Second lesson, all we give comes from God. David's prayer reminds us that nothing we offer is truly ours. Everything originates from his hand. Third lesson, a godly legacy is generational. David's greatest work was not what we built, but who he prepared. Okay. Fourth lesson, finishing well matters. David ends his life with worship and order, leaving behind peace, provision, and praise. So the First Chronicles chapter 29 closes the story of David's reign. He gives generously to God's temple, leads Israel in worship, and blesses Solomon to continue the work. The people rejoice. Solomon is anointed king, and David dies full of honor, leaving behind a legacy of faith, generosity, and devotion.